Hello guys, this is Ali Solanki and today in this video we'll be talking about how I do my budgeting and hopefully will teach you an innovative way to budget your finances which I've been following for myself over the past few years. Now before I talk about how I budget, let's learn about the 50-30-20 rule, which is quite popular when it comes to budgeting. It basically means that you should keep 50% of your income for your needs, 30% for your wants and 20% for your investments. Say you have an income of 50,000 rupees per month and have to pay electricity bills every single month or have traveling or living expenses. All of these things will come under your needs. So according to this rule, you should not allot more than 50% of your income, which comes down to 25,000 rupees for it. Other than that, your Netflix subscription, buying an expensive watch, shoes, or even just buying things like a fancy car all come under wants. For this, you should not allot more than 30%, which will come down to 15,000 rupees per month. And the last one is investing. And for that, the rest of the amount should go, which is around 20% or 10,000 rupees per month. But to be honest, this method never worked for me personally. I could never end up growing my money even when I used to follow this method. Saving just 20% of your income for investments will not help you in making passive income, let alone retiring early, which is actually my goal. That's why I followed a completely different approach. Through this, I was able to grow my investment portfolio from 20,000 rupees to well over 10 lakhs in just 2 years. There is no particular name for this budgeting technique, but I like to call it the new age budgeting technique. I literally came up with that name right now. But jokes aside, this technique is a really simple one and it relies on not spending money on things that bring no inherent value with it. What I mean by this is, say for example, you want to buy a watch. You have two options: either to go with something like a Rolex, which has a lot of brand value and will help you gain status in the society at the expense of spending a lot of money, of course. But you can also go with a simple watch which will solve the purpose of showing accurate time whenever need be. Yes, if gaining status is really important for you to grow and build connections and it can be considered as a business expense, then go for it. But if you're just buying it to show it off in front of your friends and co-workers, then go with a simple watch instead. This is what the entire technique relies on. It relies on you being mindful of what you're spending money on and pausing to think if it's because you need it to grow and there's no cheaper alternative available, or is it because you feel that it will help you gain status in the society and will help you in showing off. Now, once you get into this mindset, the next step is to track your expenses. You need to track it for at least 2 to 3 months before you take this aggressive strategy up. Basically, what you need to do is note down all the things that you'll be spending money on and try to reduce it. If you're currently living in a rented apartment, then see if you can live with your parents. If you're spending a lot of money for traveling, then see if you can switch to public transport instead. Basically, lower the cost of living as much as you can. Once you've done this, note down your average monthly expenses. For me personally, my average expenditure comes down to around 10,000 rupees monthly. Now, this is because I live with my mom and not in a rented apartment, nor do I have to spend a lot of money for traveling, as most of my work is done through a laptop and a good internet connection. So my expenses are quite low on that front. I also occasionally spend money on things like good clothes, the camera, the lighting gear and all the other expenses which I don't particularly need, but they can come under my business expenses. Also remember, all my purchases directly or indirectly help me grow and I never buy something just to show it off. This makes sure that on average I never go above 10,000 rupees per month. Now after I had come up with this number, I started to set my budget up. Basically, instead of working with the percentages, I like to work with direct numbers. What I mean by this is, instead of having the 50-30-20% rule, I rather like to keep it as 10,000 rupees for my expenses and the rest directly for investments, no matter how much income I'm generating. Some months I'm making well over 3 to 7 lakhs per month, while during some months I'm barely making 1 lakh rupees. But no matter what, after deducting 10,000 rupees from my income, which is used for my expenses, everything else directly goes into investing. Through this, if say my earnings are at an average of around 3 lakh rupees per month, then I'm saving 2.9 lakhs directly for my investments. If you were someone who was following the 50-30-20 rule, then you'd only be investing 20% of your income, and to reach 2.9 lakhs as your investment amount, you'd have to earn 14.5 lakh rupees per month. Yes, a person who is earning 14.5 lakh rupees per month and is budgeting through the 50-30-20 rule is actually investing just as much as a person who's earning around 5 times less but following the strategy that I've detailed over here. I do this so that I can reach my goal of retiring early and not having to work for money anymore. Here, I would also like to mention that you should also have an emergency fund set up with at least 6 to 12 months of your living expenses saved up. For me, because I'm currently living below my means and during an emergency my expenses might go up, I have saved up around 2 lakh rupees just in the case of an emergency. This will also give me ample amount of time to pause and reflect on the things that I want to do and also take a break if I wanted to. I know that this way of life is quite aggressive and not everyone will be able to follow it. Some people might have to live on rent or might have to spend a lot of money on traveling, and there might be nothing that you can do about it. So that's why your expenses might be higher as well. But no matter what, I want you all to learn one thing from it, and that is not to increase your expenses just because your income has increased. The reason for that is because, for example, if I started spending lakhs of rupees every single month on traveling to exotic places, eating at the best restaurants in town, and buying things just to show it off, then I would start to get accustomed to it. I would feel as if this is the minimum that I should be getting, and I would start to chase for more. The desire for more would never end. Now, of course, if you aren't earning, then no matter how much you spend time on budgeting, you won't be able to grow your money. So make sure you watch this particular video in which I talk about the different side hustles that you can pursue right away that can become a new income source for you.